السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just speak in Arabic for a while, just for some guidelines for translation for those people non-English speaker. So allow me, please, all English speaker to turn to Arabic for just a while. الأخوة والأخوات، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بكم في هذه المناسبة اليوم. يا ريت دكتور محمد اديني الشاشة حقت الترانزليشن، الله يخليك. شكرا. عندنا اليوم good news that انه هذه المحاضرة حتكون مترجمة بترجمة فورية، وبالمناسبة نشكر الأخ زميلنا عضو المجلس السعودي للجودة المهندس نبال نعيم، على أساس انه هو بيحاول يقدم التعريب، أنا أسميها التعريب باللغة العربية لمحاضرتنا هذه الليلة. كل اللي تحتاجوه أخواني الأخوات، لو في تشوفوا تحت موجود interpretation، just إنكم تضغطوا الانتربريتيشن ايكون، حيظهر لكم اوف وانجلش وعربيك. تختاروا العربيك طبعا عشان تروحوا للغة العربية، وبعدين عشان في حاجة إذا أزعجتكم تخفوها بس تضغطوا عليها اللي هي ميوت اوريجينال اوديو، يصيروا انتم كده تستمتعوا مع المترجم، مع زميلنا نبال بترجمته المتميزة. Thank you very much. We can now turn to the slide of the presentation, دكتور. الأخوة والأخوات, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As you know, today and tonight we are in the 12th of November, which is the month of quality. And we have today the World Quality Day, which is usually comes under the second day of each November of the year. It is a special event for us in the globe as quality professionals, and it is a special event for us as Saudis in Saudi Arabian Saudi Quality Council, because we are celebrating during this time our national Saudi Quality Week, which comes this year for the number 13. So we gonna have, we celebrated since the beginning of this week our National Quality Week number 13. So please celebrate everybody happy Quality Day at the globe, and happy National Saudi Week for all quality goers in my country, Saudi Arabia, for those people promoting the quality and creating customer values or respect, and for those people in Saudi Arabia whom they intend to provide qualified and quality national products and services in the road of globalization. Of course, today we're going to have our well-known quality guru, who is a global and international speaker, Dr. and Professor Mohammed Zairi. When you introduce Professor Mohammed Zairi, it's very easy because he is well-known around the globe. But it is actually very difficult also because he has a long and lengthy CV, which needs just to be summarized in short of time. So allow me, Professor Zairi, just to give just a brief spotlight about yourself. Before that, actually, we will launch the book, which aligned with our topic today. His Professor Zairi new book, which is the quality is quality, the silver lining to our current and future crisis. As you see here now in the screen, it is a small brief about the book, and Professor Zairi actually has a lot of books who published, and we're proud of the published by him. This is one of his modern book, actually, which he talked about how quality can redefine the real meaning of quality, actually. how the book redefines the real meaning of quality, moving from the quality of doing to the quality of being. The book actually also considered the value and significance of quality in times of despair and destruction and difficulties. The book depicts the path of quality and this value beyond COVID-19 as the quality of human centricity. The book repositions the significance of quality as a silver lining in terms of encouraging primitive behavior, organizational readiness for adversity, and highlighting the driving force that is based on human ingenuity. The book actually illustrates how quality can move from despair and hopelessness to optimism and to the advancement of progress. For this occasion, we're going to see a 2-minute video snapshot. So, Dr. Mohammed Ansari, please go ahead and let's hear this video. Thank you. دكتور محمد ما في صوت، يمكن عشان انت كاتم الصوت. ممكن معلش عيد من اول الله يخليك. Thank you. It's very nice, Professor. Congratulations, and I'm sure all quality professionals around the globe will benefit a lot from this effort. Thank you very much, Prof. Now we can start our event today by the way, we're going to have 3 major parts in this event. Professor Mohammed will present his event. And after that, we gonna have your question and answer, which is, I just need your permission just to put it there in the Q&A box down there, and we will take care of it at the end of this presentation. Also, another thing, we're gonna have a prize draw by Professor Muhammad for 3 attendance, whereby the gift will be his new book. So stay with us, don't go please. Stay with us till the end of this presentation, so you can have the chance for having this new book. If you allow me, as I said, Professor Muhammad Zairi, he's our well-known guru in the globe. We in Saudi Quality Council consider him as a partner from day one. As Dr. Aid actually always the chairman of Saudi Quality Council, saying his Professor Muhammad Zairi name is connected with the SQC. So whenever you say the SQC, it is connected with Professor Muhammad Zairi. And whenever we are very proud in SQC that whenever we mention Professor Muhammad, it is connected to the SQC. So Professor Muhammad, in brief, he's currently having the position of executive chairman for the European Center for Best Practices Management, and he is well recognized as guru and an international expert in the field of quality and business excellence and excellence management. He was one of the pioneers of the benchmarking concept, has published more than 5 books in this field. He is the founder of the Benchmarking International Journal and Business Process Management Journal. Professor Muhammad was appointed as the first professor in best practices management globally. He is one of the originators of the concept of Quality 4.0. His most recent book, 7 of them, are all related to Quality 4.0 thinking. Professor Muhammad profile scientific publishing efforts has earned him the second highest Google citation index, which known as H index in the field of quality in the world. Professor Muhammad Zairi has published over 70 books and 400 scientific papers all around quality and quality application, business excellence. And he has been recognized internationally for his unique contribution as a recipient of many medals and awards. Currently, Professor Muhammad Zairi is acting as a senior advisor at the Prime Minister Office in United Arab Emirates government. And he is the chairman of Sheikh Khalifa Government Excellence Program and many other quality and excellence awards. Professor Muhammad, in his presentation today, gonna talk about why quality matters and why it will always be a silver lining. I will not take long time. I will leave the floor for him, and we all your ears, Dr. Muhammad, Prof. Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good evening, dear friends and colleagues. Good afternoon if you are joining us from somewhere nearby, and good morning if you are even further. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Saudi Quality Council for this important celebration of World Quality Day. This is another milestone that demonstrates how significant quality is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the 13th birthday has witnessed exponential growth in interest, in passion, in enthusiasm, and in the impact insofar as quality is concerned. And for the previous 2 weeks, there have been significant activities representing different tiers of the Saudi society, and demonstrating that quality is here to stay. Quality is significant for the future of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and quality is everybody's responsibility. So my congratulations to all those who have been responsible to organize it and sustain its path. And I am very confident that the momentum is going to carry on, and we will see even higher levels of success and impact. What I would like to share with you today is a presentation that really puts quality into the right place, because from an academic standpoint, there have been a lot of writings about whether quality is still relevant, whether it's valid, whether it's disappearing as a profession. But I think perhaps what the book that my colleague Salim has referred to is done is to, for me at least, is to live the experience of quality through this difficult period of uncertainty, of anxiety, and of deep reflection. I discovered the significance of quality, and I discovered also that quality has been a silver lining for the world and will continue to be a silver lining. And so the book is a testimony on quality and its significance to humans, but also it's a redefinition of what quality really means and how it should be taken from here on. So what I would like to do is really tackle different perspectives and take you with me on this journey for the next 45 minutes or so. And what has been distilled from this experience of the COVID-19 pandemic is to examine closely whether we can do without quality, whether there is something else that has superseded it, and whether as humans we can latch on to something better, something which is a different alternative. And many people, for example, have set their bets on artificial intelligence, on technology. But I think from my own distillation, these are the passages that I would like to share with you today. First of all, quality is a necessity in our lives, even when we do not appreciate it. I think you will see through the presentation that quality that existed 100 years ago is very much the same quality that has come to help us in these difficult times. The power of quality is experienced during times of crisis. And I think this is really the whole history of quality. No other profession has been tested in difficult times, whether it's economic depression, or whether it's a pandemic, whether it's natural disasters, whether it's issues related to the climate change. Quality is always at the fore, and quality has always been used as the tool for solving problems and the magic wand for changing what needs to be changed. And I think one of the things that we really need to understand from tonight's presentation is that quality is not constant. Quality has been evolving over the years. And I think maybe we are using the wrong language, but I think quality has to remain relevant because it's very much the same quality, but maybe it has different levels of intensity, or perhaps it's really quality that has evolved in terms of its power, its innovativeness, and its application. What has emerged also from COVID-19 experience is that human ingenuity is really what makes a difference. It's people with their creativity, with their passion, with their compassion, have made the difference. So they are the ones who are expressed what quality really means. And I will give you some example a bit later on. So quality in the end is what brings hope and optimism in times of despair and uncertainty. It's really the thing that has been tested and tried, whether it's in Japan or whether it's 100 years ago during the big economic depression in the US. So I believe that quality is the only silver lining when everything else has failed. And we need to capture what we have learned in order to move forward with the quality momentum that is fit for the 21st century. This is perhaps one of the things that we need to latch onto in order to preserve quality and preserve its usefulness for society. So these are just some preliminary messages on what quality means from the point of view of what we have to do and what quality means in terms of our action. And what everybody is trying to do is revisit the meaning of fulfillment, for example. You know, the pursuit of material life is something that many people have started to really ask questions on. The meaning of working and earning, meaning with working with pride, is also something that people are closely analyzing. And being thankful and contented, most people have realized that material life does not bring happiness. And what we need to do is really put the ceiling and be contented with what we have, what we've built, and be more thankful. And I think most people have also realized that as individuals, this is not a way to live, and communities matter. And by embracing the importance of communities, that really is a catalyst for helping us become happy. And each individual has become responsible. So we are responsible for our action. We're responsible for how we look at others. We're responsible towards our discipline. We're responsible in the way we spend. We're responsible with our thoughts and our viewpoints, etc. But I think the most important point that we cannot forget through this pandemic is that most people have started to realize that we need to have a real purpose in life. That is the starting point. Individuals have to have a purpose in life. What do we live for? You know, what is our intention? What is our path? What is our plan? What do we want to achieve? And by having a purpose in life, that really helps alleviate the anxiety that we face. The second part that I wanted to share with you is very much about the identity itself. And we need to really use this difficult time as time for reflection. One thing that everybody has learned is to be patient and to persevere with life, to be more resilient, to become resilient. Most people have learned the value of humility. Humility is really being modest with our actions and accepting that however we have proceeded with success in our life, we have to be humble. We don't have to look at others from the point of view of arrogance, for example. And we, all of us, have spent time doing self-analysis and deep reflection in order to understand that we cannot really take everything for granted. The disruption that have taken place has shown our level of vulnerability, for example. And we started to have empathy and look at other people and say to ourselves that they matter too, and we need to accept that. So, and counting our blessings, because there are many blessings in everybody's life, and sometimes driven by material life, we forget to look at those. So if we are to put this together, and from the point of view of humanity as a whole, is to look at what is important to our life. And in an analysis such as this, we will soon come to the conclusion that as far as our psychological and emotional requirements are concerned, relationships are important, whether it's our family, whether it's our neighbors, whether it's our community. This is the most precious asset that anybody can have. And we have seen even in countries, big cities, where people don't really have close relationships, that they have come back and they have realized that building communities is important. Prioritizing our needs according to what matters to us most of all is a question of really humility, but also contentment, and knowing that not everything that we want to get is going to make us happy. And the third thing is really about this purpose of life, is to make pledges to ourselves and to others and behave in the right way. And I think that from an emotional point of view, we have started to accept that happiness is really something that we receive by doing something for others, making others happy. And if we do that, we will feel the happiness ourselves. And insofar as the physical and to some extent psychological needs as well, we have learned that we need to prioritize in our life, whether it's career, whether it's to blend home and career together, how far we want to go. The necessities of life is really what should drive us. We need to be strategists about our own lives. And we need to make sure that we focus on the few obligations, whether it's to earn for family, whether it's to have a home, and so on and so forth. These obligations are the basics of life, and they cannot be changed and added to all the time, because they are vital few obligations. But also we need to be aspirational. We need to really dream and make this happen. And we need to, on the way in our path to success, grab opportunities when they manifest themselves in front of us. So I think this is deep, deep reflection about quality and its relation to humans. Because the reason I started with this analysis is because I would like to end with a clear message that quality has evolved, quality has changed. Quality was, if you like, incremental, because it started to look at the product and the service. And it was based on the push perspective, where we manufacture, we design, we deliver things that we believe people need. But in the end, quality has evolved to the point where it has become human-centric, and it cannot be quality if it doesn't improve the quality of life, or if it doesn't preserve life itself. So talking about life and livelihoods, for example, the coronavirus pandemic has spread throughout the world. I think this statistic that you see in front of you may not be perhaps correct, but at least 188 countries are suffering from the adverse effect of the coronavirus. And we can see through this series of graphs that I will share with you quickly that everything has been decimated, everything has collapsed. Whether it's the stock market, and you can see in front of you how quickly the shares of investors have been decimated to an all-time low. If you look at the impact on manufacturing, for example, that decrease was so significant, and the recovery is going to be painful and is going to be slow. If we look at the GDP and countries' growth, for example, this has also been collapsing, and the recovery is going to be very painful. It has never been as low as this, and many economies will take quite a few years to recover and to get their output right, but also to get their GDP growth on target. Unemployment has been alarming. You can see the figures from country to country, and compared with the previous depression, for example, there has been significant difference. and even the predicted unemployment going back nearly 100 years has never reached 32.1% in the US, for example. People have been put aside temporarily or called the furloughing principle will most likely, most of them lose their jobs as well. So this is another alarming statistic that resulted from the coronavirus. And even consumer confidence has disappeared. We see it in big markets, and the shopping experiences have drastically decreased, and malls are suffering because people do not travel anymore because of the fear of the virus, catching the virus, and so on and so forth. So lots of industries suffered. The consumer experience has also suffered from that. I know that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is perhaps one of the countries that will even have an exacerbated effect of the coronavirus because it's being oil driven, and you can see the decimated reduction in the prices of oil barrels, and you can see this graph over the last 100 years, the price of oil, how it was up and down, but it has never been as down as this. So this is another malaise, another dilemma, another source of pain. So I think we have to ask the question as to how we're going to tackle the destructive effect of the coronavirus. And there are many good things happening. And I think that this is really where quality becomes a silver lining. As you know, the determined effort to find a vaccine has been an unprecedented experience, fast tracking, using agility, using high levels of innovation, depending on state-of-the-art technologies, and re-engineering basically the R&D capabilities in order to find a cure as quickly as possible. This is unprecedented. This is a true story, success story of what quality can do, what human ingenuity can deliver. And we are, of course, at the verge of declaring that a cure is not far down the line, and that we can start to recover. We can start to stop the drastic effect, devastating effect of coronavirus. And just to share with you very quickly, this slide is in September 2020, so it's fairly recent. There are at least over 150 possible vaccines, and you can see most of them are in the early stages, the preclinical testing. And we are waiting for some to be approved. And the phase 3, which is really the final stage of checking on safety and effectiveness of the drugs, there are good contenders. And so that is effort, that is human ingenuity, that is what quality does. And we really need to maintain the hope and the optimism, because something like this is a miracle. So the vaccines around the world is an effort that is pushed by various governments and managed by centers of excellence, managed by the big pharmaceutical companies. For the first time in history, these pharmaceutical companies are working on collaboration. They have put aside the competitive spirit, and they have started to link together and to work together towards finding a cure. And you can see AstraZeneca and Roche, for example, the hope of them finding a cure has helped them with their share values growing significantly. But there are other things that we need to bear in mind, and these things are on the increase, that our normal is not going to be the same normal. And the use of technology has been very pervasive. You can see here the growth of LinkedIn in various countries, and that is a significant manifestation. People are connected, people are working from home, and people professionally use their networks. Zoom, of course, the technology that we're using today is exponentially growing, and by 2021, it would have reached a formidable, level of success. And it is predicted that it's going to grow even further. And you can see it through here. While other industries, such as the airline, which is decimated, which is really struggling, Zoom, on the other hand, because people cannot travel, so people are working from a distance, working from home. So connectivity is not via travel, which is physical. Connectivity is virtual. And that's one of the reasons why Zoom has grown over 100%. And a competitor to Zoom is Microsoft Teams, also doing very well and growing exponentially. So that is really the story insofar as the pandemic is concerned, insofar as the pain is concerned, but also insofar as the optimism is concerned. What I would like to do now is really start to move you a little bit faster, because this is what quality is. And I am glad to say that measurement has proved to be the most significant thing in this experience, albeit a painful experience. And measurement is important because our lives matter. And measurement is now a universal language. Who could have thought that the average person in the street or a housewife at home can actually read these curves? Everybody knows what flattening the curve means. Everybody knows that as the cases of those who contracted COVID-19 increases, that becomes alarming. And the role of healthcare ministries and bodies of governments is to reduce the number of exposures, number of cases, in order not to create a burden on the healthcare systems and in order to save lives. So this is an unprecedented event. The fact that everybody now can look at measurement, can read measurement, can discuss the language of measurement, because it's something now that they see directly related to their lives. And that is a major leap in my view. And the thanks is really to those pioneers who 100 years ago, in the 19th century, they created the thermometer. Whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius or Kelvin, we need to really thank them, and we have to acknowledge that these discoveries were about preserving human life and protecting human life, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do it. And I particularly was impressed with Lord Kelvin's work, and I just got a couple of quotes here. This one says, "Science is bound by the everlasting vow of honor to face fearlessly every problem which can be fairly presented to it." Yes, we have seen it. Science is what matters, because science means human ingenuity. To take that vow of honor, to face adversity in a fearless manner, but also to find the cure, solve the problem, preserve human life. And I think that couldn't be more right than this. He also said about measurement, to measure is to know. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. But to measure is to know. I think it's very significant, because whether you are a leader or whether you are the average person in the street, by measuring or reading the measurement and knowing what it means and its interpretation, that could help with reassuring people, or that could be alarming enough to make people take precautions about preventing exposure to their health and protect themselves. Or, as we know it, and we have been preaching it for many years, if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it, which is really the heart of quality in factories or in the public sector. So measurement is what triggers and drives improvement. And he also said, when you can measure what you are speaking about and express it in numbers, you know something about it. So the knowledge associated with measurement is what makes a difference. Measurement is not just a mere simple exercise of reading the data and expressing it in basically abstract manner. But if we link measurement to reality and describe it in this way, then in his own words, that is gained knowledge. So if we cannot measure it and we cannot express it in numbers, we don't have any knowledge. We're just, trying to move blindly, and we are doing a hit and miss exercise. So the beginning of knowledge is maybe with small thoughts, but as we advance with the inquiry mind, we gain more knowledge. And I think today, in today's language, we use the word insight generated by being data-driven. And I think that the friends and colleagues who are attending tonight understand that language very well. Another pioneer that we ought to thank is Theodore Benzinger, who as a scientist has created the thermal measurement devices for heat. And we see it now in supermarkets, we see it at airports, we see it everywhere. And some applications now are hooked to big screens so that you can actually track people and see whether they are likely to have the coronavirus. So all of these devices that we see in our daily life, they came from quality, they came from measurement. And we must be thankful to these scientists, these geniuses who have helped us move forward and helped us protect human life. The other opportunity that I would like to take, and unfortunately I don't have enough time to talk about the contribution that these gurus have made, is really quality that was the foundation. And whether it's Shewhart or Deming or Juran or Ishikawa or Val Feigenbaum, they are a generation of their own. They are the ones who have taught quality to the world. They are the ones who give an interpretation to measurement so that we can make action, so we can improve. So they were, if you like, the protagonists, and also they were the source of expertise to facilitate the translation and the interpretation and the use of what data is telling us in order to improve quality in all of its forms, or in order to minimize the errors, minimize variation, or to look at the holistic perspective through measurement on how can an organization optimize itself, optimize its systems and its processes. So there is a lot that has been done, which has helped us today, and I will say a little bit more about that. But let me tell you that tonight, particularly, I wanted to focus on another generation of gurus who have tackled the importance of quality from a different perspective. Abraham Maslow, I will mention him towards the end of my presentation, but Elton Mio and Dr. Drucker are those two individuals who did significant work. And all of these gurus together, they met and they exercised their influence at this very facility in the early 1920s. And if you go a little bit before that, in 1910, 1915, Frederick Taylor, the father of scientific management, was also another guru. So much happened in the Hawthorne works in the Chicago area that has given birth to quality. But if we look at Elton Meyo, he more or less analyzed the work environment. And his conclusion was that a happy worker is one who really will produce more. And hard work is not enough, because happy worker is more productive than a hard worker. And he looked at motivation aspects, and this was a major paradigm shift. And at the time, by the way, we focused far too much on the quality of product, the quality of service, the quality of systems, the quality of processes, but the human relations paradigm was not really integrated into the quality profession. And I say this as an unfortunate situation. So Elton Meyo made a significant contribution about employee motivation, employee happiness, and his work extended very much the work of Frederick Taylor. And Taylorism was more geared towards organizing the work in order to increase productivity. My own preference is really the work of Peter Drucker. He did not disagree with the way quality was perceived, the way quality was preached. And he agreed that, for example, when it comes to scientific management, he believes that its fundamentals must be preserved. But I'm going to read a little bit of this quote. He said, we have also got to preserve the human relations aspect. So it's more about people and process, people and performance, people and productivity. And we need to really extend the meaning of hard work versus the meaning of smart work, the meaning of volume work or mass production versus the meaning of, in modern days, for example, customer experiences. And his contribution has been immense. And he particularly refers to the coming age of new technology, which really pushes the definition and our understanding of what quality means to a new level. A recent book was published about the work of Drucker by Rick Wartzman. And I just want to pick something that is formidable. And Peter Drucker has predicted that by 2020, there will be disruption in the way we understand the work environment and in the way we define business models and in the way we work, generally speaking. And his quote here says, every few hundred years throughout Western history, a sharp transformation has occurred. In a matter of decades, society altogether rearranges itself. Whether it's basic values, social, political structures, but it says 50 years later, a new world exists, and the people born into that world cannot even imagine the world in which their grandparents lived and into which their own parents were born. Our age is such a period of transformation. So that was predicted many years ago, that we will be reaching an age where we call society the digital society. We call the generation of newborn as Z generation or the millennials, and we start to absorb technology in an unprecedented manner, which shapes our lives, shapes the work environment, and changes everything else. The power of foresight that Peter Drucker had is really immense. So he is the godfather of knowledge society. He is the one who said that during this age, people will generate value through their minds, through their knowledge, and not through their muscle. And since 1959, he predicted this, and he said this will be called knowledge work or the knowledge worker. And I think that he basically said the characteristics of this knowledge era is that we become users of information and data and knowledge as a commodity. So we look at something new, something relevant, and not rely on something that has passed its prime. He talked about engagement, although he didn't use the word engagement, but today we use employee engagement, but he talked about employee autonomy. And of course, he talked about learning organizations. Any organization who cannot offload legacies, old legacies, cannot renew its practices, and cannot really update its infrastructure, and cannot really absorb best practice thinking, is an organization that has really signed its death warrant. So a learning organization is an organization that is well equipped to survive, no more, no less. And I think something else he mentioned, which is about the sense of purpose. I know that Dr. Edward Deming mentioned constancy of purpose as the key thing. But I think Drucker talks about a stronger sense of purpose, a purpose that needs to be articulated in the right way, and maybe a purpose that will take a different direction. In my book, I refer to this as constancy of a new purpose, because we are allowed to move forward with relevance as opposed to carry old legacies. And the last thing he mentioned about this doctrine of the knowledge-based modern enterprise is not to create obsolescence in people's minds. And he says we have to be mindful of those who are left behind. Engagement of employees, even in the best organizations in the world today, is at a mere 65%. So we need to do much better than that. So let's now look at the human ingenuity, and I will go through this very quickly. So we celebrated the work of the gurus. We celebrated the human relations paradigm perspective that was unfortunately left separate from the quality movement. And perhaps it's high time that we broaden our quality thinking and not just preach things related to product or service or process or systems, but to look at the human component, because organizations today operate as ecosystems. One wonderful thing that happened is this repurposing, the power of repurposing. This concept, again, goes back many years, and this slide shows you the Ford Willow Run assembly plant, which was built as state-of-the-art to deal with a need at the time during the Second World War. President Franklin Roosevelt in 1940 said that the US will have to use its capabilities, its efficient machinery, and the power of its manufacturers in order to produce 50,000 combat aircraft for the US and for its allies in order to defeat, at the time, Hitler and his allies. That was a statement made, but it soon followed by the manufacturing giants at the time responding positively. One person in particular, it's Charles Sorensen, who is the guru who really did not get as much credit as he should, because the credit was falsely attributed to Frederick Taylor on scientific management. But Ford at the time created their own system of mass production, and this is the gentleman who did it. And the achievements were unbelievable, because Henry Ford's dream was to make the car affordable. So mass production means cost goes less, and he pushed basically this philosophy all the time to bring down the cost. So this experience of producing in mass has helped Charles Sorensen take the challenge of building the biggest manufacturing plant in the world that will produce the giant B-24 bombers. To add another point to this is that he made an impossible target to produce one giant B-24 per day. The previous achievement was one per month. And these are the original drawings of how he perceived the facility to be. And it was an impossible task, but he persevered. The Willow Run bomber plant was built, and the planes started to be rolled out from the assembly line. And I'm just sharing with you the photographs. And that was something that has given credit to Ford for helping beat the Hitler and the Germans at the time, and basically protect all the Allies during World War II. So the headline was, Ford has helped win World War II. The point I wanted to make through this little bit of history is this concept of repurposing. It's only happened because of human ingenuity. You can imagine an assembly plant that uses on average 3,000 parts to assemble a car, moving it to hundreds of thousands of parts to assemble a large combat airplane is not an easy task. And then to build a gigantic facility in order to do that in record time was also a miracle. So repurposing has been seen during the COVID-19 pandemic as one of the success stories. And I'll just give you a few examples in passing. Here is an example of a factory that produces sportswear, converting its production lines to masks in order to help save life. Here's Unilever in the Philippines, for example, repurposing its manufacturing lines, which used to produce perfume, to produce sanitizers. And here is a more recent example of human ingenuity where Ford partnered with General Electric Healthcare in order to repurpose production lines to produce ventilators, which have been so essential in saving lives. So I think that is a time of celebration. And for a day like the World Quality Day, to see human ingenuity that has created success and saved a human life over 100 years ago, do the very same thing, albeit that the environment is modern and we have access to advanced technology. So to sum up about what quality really means, it depends on how we see quality. And I think that this is a debate that we have had over the years. What is quality? What does it mean? And I put here 12 areas where quality is significant. Quality is about the product. Quality is about the process. And if you are Joseph Juran, you would say quality is about planning. Quality is about practice. If you are Elton Mio and Abraham Maslow and Peter Drucker, you say quality is about people. All of these gurus insist that quality is also about performance, but quality is about partnership. We see it now. Collaboration is the order of the day, whether it's in search of a vaccine, whether it's General Electric Healthcare partnering with Ford, and all the examples have demonstrated that partnership has been critical and will continue to be so. That's quality. Quality is the passion, the human ingenuity. Quality is using the power of big data and the power of possibilities to explore things we have never done before. Quality is about the environment and saving the planet. And quality is about planning ahead, precognition, and what the future would look like. We're already talking about the new normal. For example, virtual working is going to be very significant. now the pledge that is made by car manufacturers to expedite their plans to produce electric cars earlier than they needed. Today, I was reading something about Airbus, and they made the pledge that by 2035, a significant number of the aircraft they produce will have zero emission. This is quality, this is perfection. And of course, ultimately, quality is about raising standards. It's always about prominence, otherwise it's not quality. So rather than drown ourselves with examples and waste the rest of the time, I just wanted to put one slide and say that nobody is wrong. All these gurus have zoomed in on one particular aspect of quality. And even when we called it total quality management, we did not include everything. Because the word total basically was suggested by the late Val Feigenbaum in the 60s when he wrote his book Total Quality Control, and there were disagreements between the gurus at the time. I'm not going to tell you the story, but total meant organization, but it didn't mean total quality in our life, total quality in so far as human centricity is concerned. So yes, we can actually start to think positively that quality is the magic wand, and quality is significant to our lives. And quality, if managed in the right way, has to have different levels of success, different levels of maturity. We have never measured quality in terms of its maturity. We need to understand the philosophy and the fundamentals. We need to apply them. We need to really create awareness and education and build a culture of quality. And then we need to start to think about what are we getting out of this investment in quality, which is the capability of quality and the impact of quality. If quality works, it has to produce results. If we can produce those results in a sustainable way, that means we have developed distinctive capability of quality. And ultimately, which is something I write about in another book of mine, quality is a competitive advantage. So the advantage of quality, and I will share with you at the end how Toyota has maintained quality as a competitive advantage for nearly 80 years now. Now, and Mr. Salem, in his introduction, mentioned something that about the book. There is a difference between the quality of the doing versus the new paradigm that we are learning about through this experience, which is the quality of being. The quality of doing is very much about producing for the masses, producing efficiently and producing effectively, the right standard. But I think that above that, there is an emerging field, and I have been inspired significantly by the work of Elton Mayo and Peter Drucker in particular, the quality of engagement, the quality of empathy, and the quality of elation, or the quality of life of humans. This is really where quality needs to go in the future. And I hope that through this webinar, my colleagues in different parts of the world will start to embrace this direction, because it is the direction that will be needed in the future. We are moving away from the product and the service and delivering in mass to really looking at a human-centric approach by making sure that people at work, they use their human ingenuity and their intellect capacity in order to produce something fit for the real purpose, which is society, which is the customer, and so on and so forth. So in a sense, the old paradigm will still continue to function, and constancy of purpose, product and service orientation, and impacting through efficiency and quality, that's now a minimum. That is the baseline. That is a foundation. Building something to last, whether it's optimization or durability and longevity of the organization, or growth through mass production and customization, that is also something that will stay. But there are new levels beyond that that we need to take into account. The new paradigm is very much about revisiting the purpose and making sure that nothing is constant. Everything can be subjected to disruption at any point in time. Because when we gain the insight, when we understand the world better, when we have preemptive data, we can take action in advance. The customer and human orientation are the two sides of the same coin, because we need to do the 360 degrees and not address the needs of customers, if you like, incrementally or transactionally, but to understand everything else about them and what goes on in their lives. And the impact is not through Kaizen or nudging. The impact is going to be through innovation. And the pursuit is not the pursuit of growth through capacity and volume, but rather the growth through value creation. And the disruption will affect business models. So we no longer build things to last, durable or longevity, but we build something relevant. And the growth is not just a growth through mass, but the growth is personalization of experiences and constant exploration and value creation. I put all of this together in what I call the V6 quality continuum model, and very much to depict the path of quality. We started in the Hawthorne works with Shewhart, Deming, Juran, and others by trying to deal with defects, by looking at variation in order to help produce in mass, produce volume. And then we moved to the era of producing with mass customization by branding and creating a choice for the customers through variety. And then we moved to really Peter Drucker's school of thought, which is that what we produce is creative and what we produce is intangible and what we produce is knowledge-based value. And that is something that has grown since that time. And recently, we are looking at vivacity or the quality of life, of human centricity. And we are moving with acceleration through velocity, which is really the future foresight, planning the future, being preemptive, being agile, and benefiting from advanced smart technologies in order to propel humanity in the future in a different way. And virtuality is going to be a big component for this. So this rainbow of limitless possibilities is only valid if we link it together and if we not lose sight of where we started from, what quality that existed at the time was doing, and how was it defined, so that we can move forward. So I start to put my thoughts towards the end now. Where are we heading to? So a sub-question is, what is the future of quality? I was touched by an interview that was done with Akio, the chairman and president of Toyota. And he was in confinement, like the rest of us, in one of the compounds of Toyota in Japan, somewhere remote. And I just picked some quotes from him. He says, while taking a walk around the pond, I saw birds, turtles, fish, and the like scurrying about. All living creatures other than humans human beings are going about life as before. Only human beings are running about in confusion. So it's a thought that was going through his mind, and essentially he wanted to preserve the past, which is the pride of Japan, or the concept of monozukuri, which is really the human ingenuity in producing, developing, innovating, and manufacturing. And he said, we need to stop taking things for granted. And also, we need, as a matter of course, to be thankful for everything around us in our life, because we need to start to think that someone else has taken the trouble, or thinking on our behalf, or producing this for us, or giving us the taste that we are enjoying because of that. So it's always about people, and it's not about technology. And that is what human ingenuity does. And I think here is the statement that he made. He said, it is vital to cultivate Toyota people in the world who can wish for and take action for the happiness of those other than themselves. In other words, human ingenuity is what quality is all about. It's to engage employees, to give them the latitude and the space to experiment, to develop, to engage with customers in order to make them happy. And that is what matters in the end. And I think Toyota has a formidable global vision. And this is perhaps the most important message I share with all of you tonight. And that is, if a successful organization with rich history like Toyota still insists on quality as being part and parcel of its future, and also deeply rooted by reminding people about the Monozukuri philosophy and human ingenuity, then all of us have to follow the example of Toyota and look at how they defined their global vision. Respect for the planet, commitment to quality, challenging goals, stretching and driving with ambition. There is always a better way. Innovating, exceeding expectations is really about value creation. Rewarded with a smile is about empathy. Engaging talent and passion for people. Lead the way by being role model. Embrace technology. Here it is. They did not say, we're going to be virtual. We're going to use artificial intelligence. They did not praise technology. They said, the future of mobility is that we may one day maybe not stop making cars, but our purpose has shifted from making cars to creating mobility for society. And that is smart. That is what quality is about. Safest and most responsible way of moving people is really about the care and concern for humanity, constant innovation, and enriching the world around us, enriching lives, which is the social responsibility. I think that is really touching. I think we are making big strides through this coronavirus pandemic. We are becoming more resilient. We are adaptable, and digital adaptability is something that we have witnessed in different parts of the world. We have empathy in abundance. We are all better connected. There are no boundaries between countries anymore. We are more rational now and less impulsive because life has slowed down. We have done the deep thinking, the self-evaluation. We have higher levels of consciousness. We care more about others. And that's Akido Toyoda, has said. He said it's really about impacting on others rather than ourselves. We are very much data-driven, and we focus on well-being. Technology is going to be there. We need to use the social links, the professional and the personal links, and we need to really mesh a modern society, a progressive society, a society that has recovered, but a society that is proud, that is resilient, that is ready for the future, and that can reimagine what the future might look like. So let me just finish. And I did promise I would come. When everything was going in the right direction, when everything was predictable, when everyone was happy, the massive work that Abraham Maslow has done about the pyramid of needs was correct, because as humans, we start with the basic needs like food and water, basically being protected, to safety needs, security and safety, and then we climb up the psychological needs, which are belonging, love, and community, And the esteem needs are about the pride that we have as individuals towards real fulfillment, which is actualization, self-actualization by achieving our potential throughout our lifetime. Guess what happened? Those things have collapsed. The pyramid of needs and ambitions has taken us to the fundamentals of life. It has made us humble. We started to appreciate humility. Many people have stopped being arrogant. We started to be empathetic. We started to look at others who are in more needs than us. And I believe that this pyramid, maybe, and I don't know, maybe it will not be referred to in the future because humans now are more likely going to have different priorities, different ambitions, and that is the way we move forward. The one thing that has also emerged through this pandemic is that the foundation, the baseline for us is digital, because like what Peter Drucker was saying, we have become a knowledge-based society. We have shifted considerably. We can no longer refer to the principles and the concepts and the theories of the 1920s, 1930s, and then adapt them without really asking the question. Everybody now is connected. Our basic needs is to have the internet, to be digital. Our psychological needs is to be connected, to talk to friends and relatives. Our self-fulfillment is really to develop digital skills so that we can work from home, we can work from anywhere else, we can study. So there are no interruptions in our life. And our societal needs is really the fact that digital is enrichment. It enriches society because it gives us something new in terms of our skills, our expertise, our communication powers, and our discovery of what life is all about, and our insightfulness, and etc. So I think I am not suggesting at all that the pyramid of needs basically is no longer valid. I'm just throwing it out there. But my own thoughts as an end is really that perhaps we will have different humans after COVID-19, the new ideal person. What would they look like? First of all, they are thankful for what they have because they have gone through a tough period. They have become more resilient. And the second thing is dutifulness. I think people started to realize that our purpose in life is to do better for ourselves, is to improve our potential, and is to put our knowledge, our expertise, our money, everything else for the benefit of others. And the third one is respectfulness, which is very much about earning our place in society, earning that respect and observing the moral aspects of society and behaving as a role model. And rather than use the pyramid of needs, I have suggested that in the future, the starting point will be a newly defined purpose, the purpose and resilience. That's what will stay, will not collapse like a pack of cards, you know, because if it is material life, we know now for certainty that we can lose it at any point in time. But if it is something that is within us, about our existential on Earth, then we define the purpose in a different way. The first thing, a proximity to that, is about community and belongingness. We need to feel that we belong. That is the warmth. That is really the happiness. And the third thing is exhibiting the pride and the self-respect by being honorable, being diligent, being dutiful, and being a role model. And then we are again into the aspiration, the achievements, and the appreciations. Always trying to put the cap, always trying to be humble, because humility is a strength. Humility is not an embarrassment. The more we achieve, the more we realize that we have to be thankful, and we have to be mindful about an ego taking us in a different direction that could destroy our character and our the perception of others on us. And the last thing is looking at who we are in the context of society and looking at our role as a human in the context of humanity, society, humanity, and our future together. We're all responsible. If we look at the climate change and pollution, for example, every person has a role to do something about it. Consumerism, for example, if we waste, we have to think about it as a global society, and so on and so forth. And I think this is how we can really achieve what I call harmony, happiness, and spiritual fulfillment. So I will close now, Salim, just by saying this is the quote that I have put at the front, at the first page in my book, that I have learned something through this experience. I have, in my view, redefined the meaning of quality, not by, if you like, eliminating the power of quality that all of you and all of us know, but rather to add something that is more meaningful as we move forward. And I say that quality is the answer to all our needs. And we have proved that during this pandemic, quality was there to help us or rescue us in every aspect of our life. It protects our life. It nourishes our senses. And it guides our dreams, and it defines our purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Zairi. This is very formative and valuable information. I'd like just to take all thanks and appreciation from all audience here to you, and wish you the best in your life, Professor.
Thank you.
Actually, I think it's all about the human side of quality. What you're just trying to say that you've said in the past, human ingenuity and the human relation paradigm was not matured enough, and you're just trying to focus on it in the future. Is that right?
No, I said that during that period, the period where quality was flourishing, was really emerging, there were magnificent contributions. I mean, all the gurus that all of us speak about all the time, they were one generation. They were working at the same time. They more or less had the same thinking. But alongside them, there were other gurus who were looking at different angles, different perspectives. And I'm just saying, it was, well, in my view, it was a shame that the work was not joined together, was not put together. So we ended up basically taking quality in a very particular direction. And you may know, may not know, and a few years ago, I published a book, and the title was a little bit alarming. It was Deep in Crisis, the Uncertain Future of the Quality Profession. I actually, inside the book, I was suggesting solutions. I was saying that, well, actually, quality has so much potential, but we took it for far too long in one particular paradigm. Okay. And we did not really merge the different paradigms together. We didn't blend them together. And some people did that. I mean, I give a lot of credit to Joseph Juran, but I particularly give more credit to Peter Drucker, who we consider to be the guru of the gurus, because he didn't criticize any of the work, and I have got loads of his work. He didn't criticize Shewhart or Deming or Joseph Juran or Frederick Taylor, the father of scientific management. He said, we need scientific management, but we cannot ignore human relations, which is the work of Elton Mayo. And Elton Mayo did the work at the same time in the same factory, in the Hawthorne's works. So imagine if we started by making quality rather than being product-centric only, but to make it human-centric or customer-centric. We could have made bigger steps. I mean, I think I was just presenting it in that context.
Yeah, great. This is actually an introduction to my question. What things, in your opinion, need to be done in order just to sustain the importance of human being in the future?
Well, I think everything that we do as you know, the chairman and executive of Toyota has said, we have to be proud of what we do, but we have to do it in the context of it benefiting others. And as human beings, we have to really value human ingenuity. We buy products because we paid money. We think that, you know, we have the products because we paid. But to what extent do we admire the craftsmanship, the ingenuity, the creativity? So the Japanese have kept this philosophy of monozukuri for 70 odd years. And it's emerging from their spiritual beliefs, actually. Humans always are far superior. The human mind is what makes a difference. The big worry, of course, is that we are robotizing people now. And that's the danger that people like Peter Drucker have alarmed, to try to send an alarm on. Yes, we can benefit from artificial intelligence, but not at the detriment of human ingenuity. We will never reach a stage where we will admire something made by a robot in the same way that it is something that is crafted, conceived, developed, and produced by human hands or human thought. So, you know, it's really a little bit of it is more emotional, and quality should be emotional because it impacts on people's livelihoods. And I'm sorry I'm taking too long, but I'll give you one example, and I would love the whole attendance to really read about it. If you want an answer to this question about what the future should look like, Japan embarked on a project a few years ago, about 3 years ago, called Society 5.0. Because Japan, by 2050, will have 40% of its population above 65. So they are already planning the future with artificial intelligence, with mobility, with connectivity, with the Internet of Things, in order to preserve the life of elderly people, in order to make sure that they can live longer and they live happy and they live at ease without disruption. This is where quality is going. So technology cannot replace humans, should not replace humans. And technology does not define quality. It can enable us to produce better quality. And there is nothing better than this example, this real example of what quality looks like by looking at Society 5.0, which is the Japanese experience.
Professor, do you think if you want just to build the mindset shift, is it good to start at the school and education?
Yes, because I mean, you know, every society thinks in the same way. We think about others. We think about our community. We think about the most important and cherished benefit from human life is learning, is development, is the knowledge. And as you know, even in the Quran, I mean, you know, knowledge is articulated in so many different ways. So if we start to really make that the most significant thing in humans, then we will by default create people who have humility, people who think about others, people who cherish the significance of being part of a community, people who define their own purpose in life, and people who are achievers without having an ego. They achieve for themselves first. They stretch themselves because they know that the higher they are, the more they can do wonderful things for others. And I think that that is the way to do it. Is the focus is not on technology. Technology is important. We live in the digital era. We cannot deny that. But is to focus more on, you know, human centricity, if you like, you know, and create a future that revolves around humans and equipping them with technology, bringing them together with technology, enhancing their potential with technology. That's all fine.
Okay, thank you. Still, we have a lot of questions to be asked, but before we go to the rest of the questions, Professor, we would like to, because we promised our colleagues here, the participants, to give the prize draw for the three box. So we need just to give us random numbers to tell us about. So Dr. Mohammed Ansari will prepare and we're gonna announce the list at the end of the presentation. Can you give us any randomly number? We need 3 numbers.
Okay, I will say number 16, perhaps, or number 16 is good.
Okay.
Number 98 and number 135.
Okay. So Dr. Mohammed Ansari, it is 16, 98, and 135. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us. We will announce the winners at the end of our event tonight. Professor Mohammed, and before we go to the question also, there was some comment asking why this presentation was in English. A big apology for everybody here, because actually this event considered as international event. So we prefer to have it in English so we can satisfy everybody. And this is why we provide the translation on the spot. Professor Mohammed, here there is Mohammed Al-Withnani. He's saying the fitting man to the task, fitting the task to the man. Is it important from our point of view to achieve the quality in work environment? I mean, he's saying, you got the question?
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sense out of this. I think that there are 2 sides of one coin, if you like. I think workplace design has to be fit for the purpose, which is to create value. So the task has to be right. And then in order to deliver value, you have to have the fitness between people's skills, competencies, and the requirements of the task. So it's not one substitutes the other, otherwise we'll create anarchy. I think that the development of people is another challenge for organizations in the future, because transformation is not automation. There is a slogan now where we say that if you automate, you will obliterate. That means you will destroy the organization. But if you automate through augmentation, which is the development of people, then you are doing the right thing. So I think 2 sides of the same coin. It's a good question, and I hope that I have answered it in the right way.
Okay. Before we go to the other question, I want just to remind everybody about the event evaluation. So you can see the survey now and the polls. So please, we need the help of everybody just to fill it up. Thank you very much. Professor Mohammed, Mr. Saleh Al-Gouaye is asking about the GDP as an index to measure the country's economy. He's asking you, what do you think about this without looking to the quality of life impact?
It's a very good question. I think that many people recognize the limitation of the GDP in measuring economies of countries that have moved away from physical assets and production, basically through export of physical products into knowledge-based economy, because it's intangible. And in actual fact, the wealth of the world, 70% of it is intangible, and 30% is physical assets. So the GDP has been over the years stretched, but because it's well ingrained into the global economy, and there are people who defend the GDP, I think it's going to take some time to change it. But there is an emerging concept, which is, the global happiness index, or the global well-being index, as an alternative measure. There are big advocates on these, even at government level. My forecast is that this will be somehow blended, to reflect the reality, because wealth of any nation is not worth anything if it doesn't benefit populations, if it doesn't create employment, if it doesn't develop modern healthcare systems, if it doesn't combat illiteracy and give everybody what is duly right to them about education, if it doesn't tackle the problem of housing, if it doesn't bridge the gap between those who have and those who don't, and those who are rich and those who are poor, and raising the standards of living. So I think that is really what a successful economy is. But I think that, as we have seen, the capitalist system, and even in the biggest economies in the world, such as the US, we see people now struggling, people who are queuing up to have food, going through these food banks, because they have lost everything. They lost, their homes. They can't put their children to school. It's really sad. It's really sad. 1 minute you're up there with the Maslow theory of needs, and then all of a sudden, you are down, you're hurting. And, it's almost humiliating for people to go and drive their cars, open their boot to have, some basic, food put in their boots. So I think the question is important. I think GDP does not serve, if you like, the creation of wealth for the purpose of humans and society. It creates wealth very often for the rich, for the banks, for the capitalistic mindset, and something will trickle down. But in most cases, it's a big challenge for the future.
By the way, can we say, Prof, that is there any rank whereby we can say this country has quality country, or is there any ranking in this regard?
Yes, you have so different measures. I think I just mentioned Japan. I think Japan has always improved the quality of life of people. I think since the Second World War, they went through. Japan is a country that knows what adversity is. They are a country that face natural disasters every day, whether it's volcanic eruptions or earthquakes, of typhoons or whatever, and they rebuild. They have resilience. They know what humility is. They have a deep ingrained philosophy about life. They are community oriented. If anybody wants to emulate, I would say Japan is the best country. And here it is, you have a government who thinks about 2050, 40% of the population, because they are an aging population. 40% are going to be elderly. So the economy must cater for the needs of that chunk of the population. So using South Korea, perhaps Singapore. Any
potential expectation in the next 5-10 years?
What do you mean in terms of expectation?
I mean potential expectation. Potential countries in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, I'm hopeful. I would like to think that in the GCC region, whether it's for example the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the UAE, for example, I buy into the visions. I see what the leadership is trying to do, and I am very, very hopeful. that we are making major leaps. And obviously, it's unfair to compare with Japan, compare with other countries who have a head start. But I think with technology, with disruptive ideas, I think we can make up the lost ground. And I think the kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the UAE, for example, one of the advantages is that you are dealing with a young population. So the young population means they are ready for change. They are ready for disruption. They are savvy with technology. I mean, you know, whether it's millennials or Generation Z, Saudi Arabia has abundant human capital that can be used to make that major big leap forward. A modern society, a thriving society, a society that is truly knowledge-based. And that's how Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify the economy. It's shifting from oil, creating modern industries where the creative power is more powerful, if you like, than people working as robots, like, you know, the ordinary skills of manufacturing plants and so on and so forth. So I am very hopeful. I don't think that we need to compare, if you like, at the same level, because the world is changed already, and Saudi Arabia does not need to recover, because the majority of the population, they're well equipped with technology. That's their world. So if we start all of a sudden to work from home, to work virtually, to create open ecosystems in terms of relationships between government, business, and if you like, government sector, society is ready for that, you know, and that's where my hope is. You know, you said 5 years. Inshallah, I hope so. You know, 5 years, 7 years, why not? Yes.
Good, thank you. Professor Mohammed, there is a question here from Walid Al-Faris. He's saying, thank you very much for spotlight the importance of meteorology, but he's asking you from your experience, how we can make this concept socially and professionally aware by everybody.
Thank you, Walid, and congratulations. I mean, I think the metrology has become real at long last. It's not really just in the hands of the specialists, you know, those who have the, if you like, the engineering and the analytical skills. I think that the answer to the question is very easy. We see it 360 degrees around the human life. We see it in terms of the apps, the applications that are developed. Whether it's your sleep pattern, you can actually look at your well-being through metrology, because you know, you download the app, you go to sleep, in the morning you can read your own data. It can tell you whether you did turn around 3 times, whether you slept deeply, whether you were not comfortable, whatever. You see it in the way we eat, for example. It tells you, it reminds you about avoiding certain things. If you have, for example, a problem with, you know, a high sugar level, you know, we see it in our fitness, for example. If you go to the gym now, you know how many steps you have made, you know how many kilometers you have run. You see it at work, basically, in terms of your productivity. You see it in your social life, and so on. I think the problem is, however, we should not let technology talk. This is where the experts need to do, is their ability to divorce themselves from the deep technical, scientific jargon and knowledge, and translate it into simple things so that it becomes the quality of life. That's all what is required. It's really a change of mindset, and not to change metrology per se. Metrology is so powerful. I just, because of time, I only gave you 1 or 2 little examples. I could have given you many, many more. But I think that everything about metrology affects our life. In mobility, in entertainment, in investment, you know, in everything else. And guess what? the most sophisticated systems that are trying to combat COVID-19 are all driven by metrology principles, whether it's the monitoring side, whether it's tracing, tracking and tracing and isolating, for example. Last night I was reading about Finland. Finland has the lowest number of cases because they have an app. If somebody contracts coronavirus, the app triggers signals to all the people who have been in contact with that person. So you don't waste time. You don't waste time trying to find telephone numbers and call each person. The app does it. I think telemedicine is about that, so you have the diagnosis, you do self-diagnosis, the data is read by the doctor can prescribe medicine for you online, and so on and so on and so forth. We have never lived this era before. I would love to see metrology really being equated with preserving human life. I would love to see that. It's so powerful. It's unbelievable. And the beauty of it is that people now understand it. They read their own profiles, they read their own data, they get their own messages. So it's physical, psychological, emotional, and even spiritual, by the way, because some metrology is being applied in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia during Hajj and Umrah. The Ministry of Hajj has developed a lot of things, that are about distances, that are about, things like that, So we are in good shape. We are in good shape. This is a good time. But I think Dr. Aid perhaps is listening as well. This is a new quality revolution that is really ready to go, ready to be promoted in different parts of the world.
Thank you, Professor. Actually, we have a lot of questions, but I'm sorry, we keep people just a little bit late, as well as you, Professor. I know you have a long day today. We're gonna have 2 questions, then we're gonna close. The first question's from Hani Al-Gaidi. He's talking about artificial intelligence and its application to the customer experience journey. Where he's saying where we can apply this, and after the pandemic, the competition getting higher, and I believe the customer centric is became strategy goal for any company. I need to hear more from your professor about this point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a very good question. I think that the artificial intelligence will help us make another leap forward in terms of the customer experience. Because so far, our understanding of the customer experience is really this co-creation or proactive engagement, so that we open a little window for them so that they can get involved in designing their own experience and having an input on their products or services, and that is fine. But I think most likely with this velocity, the 6V, the latest V in my model, we will have something that I call do-it-yourself, DIY experience. So you don't need, if you like, to have little window. You will have the whole potential to design your own experience, because you will have an assistant, an intelligent assistant, who can give you the options, give you the information and the details, helps you rationalize and help you decide, particularly if the artificial intelligence is programmed to know your taste, to know your requirements. So you end up in the end designing your own individual experiences. This is really the pinnacle of individualized or personalized experiences. And we can apply it anywhere. I remember 25, 30 years ago, when we were experimenting with customer experience, some of the examples I used to use was blending your own CD albums, making your own collection and calling it personalized for me only, for example. I remember I used to share examples of Levi Strauss. You know, they had the 3D CAD/CAM system. So you give your measurements basically, and they design, and you can see yourself in a 3D basically a model, and then they will deliver your pair of jeans to you, to your doorsteps, for me only. And we used to say, wow, this is amazing. This is, and today it's beyond physical. It's physical, psychological. Psychological, you can design your own degree. And my friends who are listening from education and higher education, don't be scared, don't be worried. But you could have your own degree, and that's likely to come in the future. So you know, your journey is your journey. What you want to study, why you want to study it. Could you join two things that traditionally cannot be taught, if you like, on the same degree, and so on and so forth. So you could actually have your own do-it-yourself, personalized, individualized experience thanks to artificial intelligence.
Thank you. The last question is from Mr. Dr. Hussam Hussein. He's saying you've talked about the purpose of life, and we're proud of you, Professor Zairi, as international pioneer, Arabic international pioneer. So what was your purpose, and how did you achieve this?
Oh my God, that's a good question. I think, I mean, I'm happy to share these because I thank you, Dr. Hani, and I appreciate, you know, the question. I did not really know what my purpose in life was in my early years, to be honest. I think that most of us, if we live, if you like, protected, if we live protected, we live with our parents and we grow in an environment where we are protected. You get protected until you become a teenager or even later than that. And if you live in a community, you're also protected. If you are protected, you perhaps not know what your purpose in life. I think what happened to me, I emigrated to the UK. I was just 18. I turned 18 at the time. That was a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you my age. And I think it was a shock because I was a minor, because, you know, in those years, you know, to be independent, you had to be 21, but I was 18. And I think that I found myself all of a sudden having to make my own decisions. I found myself feeling vulnerable because there is nobody who guides you, there's nobody to advise you. You know, you really have to take care of yourself. And I found myself in an environment which is different from what I knew. And I had to adapt, I had to integrate, I had to make my life. But that wasn't what really defined my purpose. I think what defined my purpose was the fact that I realized that my parents, particularly my father, he had to sign an agreement for me to be allowed to travel. You know, I have it in my book, Salim. One day I will give you a copy of it. I have a copy of that piece of paper that my father, that paper changed me because I said, I can never let my parents down. You know, that's the trust. They sent me to study. And when I was young, my father used to call me maître. Maître in French means professor. And that defined my purpose, really. So it wasn't something that I knew from the beginning. I think it's something that I discovered because of where I found myself and what I remembered, and the trust bond that existed with my father at the time has made me realize that I have a purpose in life, and that purpose is defined by who you are, where you came from, what are your values, and being honorable by honoring your family name, and so on and so forth. That's what happened. But I've never had this question asked, so today is the first time. So.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor. It is always an honor and interesting talking to you. I'm sure everybody here enjoyed the presentation and this event. And let's now just announce the winners. Are you ready, Professor?
Yes, I am.
Are you ready, participants? So Dr. Muhammad, you're ready now just to give us a slide which announcing the winner of the 3 books. Ladies and gentlemen, the winners are Muntasir Fadil, Hajar Al-Juhani, and Al-Badri Abu Hadi. We congratulate everybody, and congratulations, this is the first 3 people received the new book, isn't it?
Yes, because the book officially is not launched until January 2021. So congratulations, Muntasir, Hajar, and Badri. You are very, very lucky. And I hope you enjoy the book. It's a very big book, but it's probably a book that was written with, if you like, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of pain, and a lot of soul-searching questions, and hopefully the answers will be found in the book. So, I hope you enjoy it, and many congratulations.
Shukran. Thank you, Professor. And we'd like just to give some announcement about the winner also. Professor Zairi, we have had daily questions in our Twitter account during the National Quality Week. Our winner today is Engineer Jamal Abdullah Hindi. Congratulations for...
Congratulations to him. Yeah. Yes, that's excellent. Wonderful.
Yeah. So by today's event, actually, we are concluded the National Quality Week. And we'd like just to thank you participants, everybody. We had hundreds, even thousands of audience with us here, as well as in the Twitter account. We'd like here just because we have received a lot of questions asking about how they get their certificate. This is exactly where you can get your certificate. Kindly just transfer the fees of the certificate, which is 50 Riyal. Then email us at info@sqc.org.sa with the receipt of the transfer. And that's it. We're going to hand over the certificate electronically to you. Those the winners, we will contact you. If you don't register with your mobile number, please send us an email to info@sqc.org.sa with your name, so we can give you the book. That's it for today. The last issue here, we have our next event, which is the workshop. It's about okay. We're talking about the event will be in Arabic, which is the workshop, Warshat Amal, about risk evaluation tools. It's gonna be presented by Dr. Amjad Khalifa. All details will be communicated to you through our website, as well as our Twitter account. Thank you, Professor Muhammad. Thank you very much. Thank you, participant. It was very interesting and very valuable, very informative event. I would like just to conclude by a few words from your side, Professor.
Once again, I think my heartfelt congratulations to the Saudi Quality Council for your energy and for your passion and your belief in quality. I think 13 years of celebration of the World Quality Day is a benchmark. And not only because it's taking place every year, but I think it's the exponential growth. What you've done is achieved the real impact, which is to spread quality throughout the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and to carry all tiers of society with you, whether it's the business community, whether it's schools, whether it's hospitals, whether it's the third sector. or whether it's people at large. And I think this is a formidable achievement. I just hope that the world at large can benefit from this experience and can really see what is going on. Those countries that have unfortunately let quality slip from their hands and over the years can learn something new, something different. It's phenomenal, it's impressive. And I wish that everybody else receives this message about this formidable achievement, and may it continue for many years to come. And I congratulate all the officers and all the champions who made it happen. And I thank and congratulate all those advocates in different parts of the kingdom who make it happen on an everyday basis and who take one day in the past 2 weeks to celebrate it and really demonstrate the achievements. So well done.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Professor. في أمان الله. مع السلامة.
مع السلامة. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.